this topic, my host chose the topic. I didn't choose the topic. If I choose the topic, maybe you think my interpretation about you. So we have to be very clear from the very beginning. So Brother Rudy is responsible for choosing this topic. To me, the Singaporeans are very generous. They feed me, now I'm just growing big. So, yes, very generous. So since this topic was chosen, I didn't choose it. So we are going to discuss.
We also mean all kinds of habits. Unwholesome habits.
Yeah. You want to squeeze all the dharma you need if I leave. Yeah, anyway, the topic, though it's stinginess and aversion, but actually when you look at it, it covers all unwholesome states of mind. Right, yeah, so don't worry, you get all the ways how to deal with these emotions. So stinginess and aversion, actually in a way they are related. They are cousins. Yeah, why don't you want to give something? Because you have aversion towards giving. Right? So they are related actually in a way. So stinginess in Pali language is called macharya. Macharya, M-A-C-C-H-A-R-Y-I-Y-A, macharya. Another word for it is called avarice. We don't want to give. We don't want to give what? We don't want to give our money. We don't want to give our possessions. We don't want to give our resources. Are you familiar with this? Yeah? Are you familiar with this? Yes. Now, aversion is very easy to understand also. The cause of aversion is actually paying anyone's attention to the theme of irritation. Whether it's weather, it's too hot. For me, I really don't have aversion towards going to country which is hot. Like now, I just came from Indonesia. Always when I go to a country where it's hot, people have aversion towards heat. Now, if you have aversion towards the heat, that means the rest of your life you're going to live in heat and you'll never be free. For me, I change things around. I say, wow, I'm very happy to have this natural sauna. I don't have to pay any money. You know, people spend a lot of money. There are two kinds of ways people spend money these days. One, they have to go to the beach and get a suntan. That's another way of spending money. But here you don't have to go to the beach anywhere. You just walk in your yard in front there. You get a suntan you need. Actually, I heard there's even a machine that you have to go to. I've never seen the machine. You go there in the machine, you pay some money, and then you get a tan. Have you seen this machine? I've not seen this machine. This machine, I haven't seen it, but it's somewhere. I've seen it in USA. So and then another thing where people spend a lot of money is to go to a sauna. And then they pay membership fee, healthy club, especially in cold countries. But you here, you have 24/7 supply of sauna. So instead of appreciating it and you start having aversion towards it, that's not going to help. You better actually change your mindset, right? And once you change your mindset, it's workable. I remember when I was in Burma in 2004, I went to meditate there for 2 months. And then I was, of course, the only person from Africa. And then most of the people were from other countries, USA, many Asian countries, Vietnam. So now, when I went for interview, my teacher ask me something. Do you have any problem in Burma? I didn't have the problem, especially to the teacher. I wanted to always express problem regarding meditation, not so much other things. But that's okay, let me really scan through my mind. Is it the food or what? I said the food is fine, I like the beans. And then I remembered exactly what the problem is, but I didn't want to explain to him because I thought it was trivial. I told him the heat is crushing me. The heat has challenged my African bringing. He looked like this. He said, the heat that you are experiencing in Burma, it's actually workable. And it's very little compared to the samsaric heat. The heat in samsara, greed, hatred, and delusion, they say that this is what is burning. He said, better deal with the heat from the samsara than the heat that because of sun. Because that one you are going to go after 5 months, 2 months, you are going to go back to USA or Uganda. But this heat in samsara, it is going to burn you, haunting you all the time. That's fear, anger, macharya, which is avarice. All this is heat. The Buddha referred to these states of mind as moha gina. Gina is fire, the fire of heat. I mean the fire of greed, the fire of hatred, and the fire of delusion. In the fire sermon, the Buddha talks about this as heat. So anyway, the teacher gave me that advice and I got it. I knew that this is something that I have to work on. So now, every time I was walking, people used to give me umbrella. I refused. Can you imagine 100 meditators? And each of them having an umbrella. Actually, it's a good sight. So everybody like this. Out of those 100 people, there was only one person who had no umbrella. And it was me. And being from Africa, people can easily single me out. So every time they say, Venerable, he's the umbrella, he's the umbrella. I said, no, I will just become aware of heat, and become mindfulness of heat. So I found out actually once we change our mindset, once we become mindful, then we can overcome difficult situations like this. So anyway, we are having what we call stinginess for our money. But the reason why are we have stinginess for our money, for our possessions, for even our emotions, for our resources? Do you know the reason why we have stinginess? I'm a person who talk when I hear. I want you also to talk. Yes. So why do you have stinginess? Attachment. Why do you have attachment? Because what? Greed. Greed and attachment is the same. And it's a brother. I don't know whether it's younger or it's the same. Why do you have greed? Because of attachment? Why do you have attachment? Because of greed? Oh, these are brothers. Actually, twins. Why? Tell me. Selfishness? And then? Mine? It's mine. You don't want to share. Actually, when you look at it clearly, most of the time we have this, of course, it's also when all those answers are right, this is mine, this is myself. So there's always clinging. We glue to our possessions, to our time. And actually, when it comes to time, we are so much stingy with our time. We are also stingy with our energy. Do you know the reason why are we stingy with our time and energy? Eh? It's limited? Well, everything's limited. Energy is limited, resources are limited, everything's limited. Why? Those who have just come, today we are just talking about stinginess and aversion and how to overcome these mental habits. Now, when I talk, I'm not a person who talk, and you hear. Listen. No, I'm a person who are interactive. We interact. You give me answers, I give you questions, and later on I'll open it for questions also. If you have questions, yeah, so we share, in other words. So now, out of the many things we are stingy, I told you possessions, money, resources in general. Then we talk about time, even emotions. We don't express our emotions. In other words, we are not emotionally available, even for people we're close to. I mean, if we're not emotionally available with the people whom we're not close to, that's understandable. But people who are very close to, also we're not emotionally available. So we have stinginess. But now what I'm tabling now, why are we stingy with our time and energy? We say, okay, now come to Uganda and volunteer. Oh, Uganda is very hot. Oh, too many mosquitoes in Uganda. Well, come and donate blood. Oh, can you give me 30 minutes? No, I have to do this. Why is excuse after another excuse regarding really volunteering, spend time with the elderly people who need your time? Why are we so much attached to our time and energy? Protect ourselves? From what?
Because we don't think that we want to do things which are enjoyable. We don't like, so we try to reduce the risks.
So it seems to me time and energy. Okay, when you look at possessions, you usually acquire them as we grow a little bit older. We get our toys, we get our first car toy, we get this. But when you look at time, as babies we are growing up, so we create our time and then it can be so much close to our ego, sense of I and mine. And yes, then you have time to rest there, so you feel time is part of you. So as we're growing up, time becomes really part of us. So in other words, we infuse this time and energy into what's called a sense of self, so that it's really not, you cannot separate so much what we call self and what's time. So it's part of the self. So giving time is like giving the whole of yourself. Even energy is like giving total. Are we together on this? Yeah, but also we extend that in properties, possessions. So we infuse a sense of self either in toys. I'm telling you, we used to have a kid in the United States. There was an African-American family. I stayed with them. The father and mother used to buy toys. The room was almost a quarter full of toys. But when we went to a shopping center, and like maybe what we call dinosaur? Yes, the kid would cry as if there's no toys in the room. It's amazing. The attachment he had with the toy. Now, what also they do, they infuse a sense of self in their toys and everything they possess. So now, if you want to check this, try to take their toys and take one. No, it's mine. Then this sense of I, mine, come, of course. So then it's very difficult to separate oneself from one's possessions. Yes, so it's actually rotating around the sense of I, mine, myself. Right? So now we are together on this. So I'd like to read you what problems we usually have with this kind of stinginess and, of course, craving and all these kind of things. I'm going to read it from the Buddha himself. This is from Digha Nikaya. The Buddha talks about dependent origination in a very systematic way, but it's very interesting to have dependent origination based on our topic today. This is the Mahanidana Sutta. It's called Sutta number 15. I'm going to read only that portion that's relevant today. Number 8. Okay, let me see. Yes, okay, here we go. Feelings, conditions, craving. If there is absolutely no feeling born of eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, mind contact, in the absence of all feelings, with the cessation of all feelings, could craving appears? So in other words, the Buddha actually talking about that really craving, feelings are the condition is the condition for craving. So he continues, O Lord, therefore, Ananda, just this is the root, the cause, the origin, the condition for craving, namely feelings. And so, Ananda, feelings condition craving, craving conditions seeking, seeking conditions acquisition, acquisition conditions decision making condition lustful desire, lustful desire condition attachment conditions appropriation, that means possessiveness, and possessiveness conditions avarice, that's machari, I told you, stinginess, and stinginess or avarice conditions guarding of possessions. And because of guarding of possessions, there arise the taking up of stick and sword, quarrels, disputes, arguments, strife, abuse, lying, and other evil, unskillful states of mind. I have said, all these evil, unskilled states arise because of the guarding of possessions. In other words, stinginess. For if there were absolutely no guarding of possessions, would there be taking up of stick and sword? No, Lord. Therefore, Ananda, the guarding of possessions is the root, the cause, the origin, the condition for all evil, unskillful states. Is it not very interesting that the Buddha would actually trace most of our suffering because of stinginess? So the one who chose this topic, I think you're very insightful, really. This is a very good topic to discuss about, because this is dependent origination, why we suffer. We know the dependent origination that actually starts with ignorance, condition, this and this and this. But here we have a different version that's very interesting. Okay, the cause of course, of stinginess also can be traced to financial insecurity. The sense of feeling I don't have enough. And that can happen both the way we perceive that we don't have enough, and also it can be also learned. When you stay with your parents and they are not generous, always there was not enough, they thought there's not enough food, or they were anticipating a war, and then they start hoarding things, they start accumulating things. So one of the features of somebody who is stingy, they want to get, they don't want to give. They want to what? To get, and they don't want to give. But also they want to forget. They're always borrowing things. And then when they borrow things, they actually forget to return. For me, a very good example is people want to borrow books. I say, please go and buy a book. They say, no, Bhante, can I borrow this book? That's in Uganda Library. Now those people who borrow books from Uganda Buddhist Library, one of them actually didn't return my book I got from USA. And now I can't find that book. So I say, how can I overcome this sense of lack? Then I just found out there's a term that helps me to overcome this. I said they're practicing bookkeeping. You know, you know bookkeepers? So they get a book from my library. They take it, and I cannot find it. I say, wow, there's somebody who's practicing bookkeeping. And then I wish them that actually may they get enlightened by reading a Dharma book. Yes, when I look for a Dharma book and I can't find it, I don't get really uptight about it. I say, whoever actually getting this book, may they enjoy. That's actually opposites. That's the opposite of stinginess. Actually, this also helps because the opposite of stinginess is generosity. So when you actually give something, you really feel so happy. You feel so happy about it. But if you start to think, oh, you know, these things, I would have used it, and this, and so then you start suffering because you're creating a sense of lack. Sense of lack. So that's the way how to go, is to do the opposite with practicing generosity with our time. Be generous with your energy, with your resources. You have enough. Who said that because not enough? We have enough time if we share. We have enough resources if we share. Isn't it? What do you think? We don't have enough if we share? So actually when you look at it, when we share our time, when we share our energy, when we share our resources, then we feel very happy, and always there's going to be enough. And then we feel filled, actually, instead of thinking that we are going to create a vacuum when we give. Yes, that's kind of our attachment. We think that once we give things, we are going to create a big vacuum. And then we'll not be able to fill that vacuum. Here's the question now. How much should we give? We say that stinginess is bringing a lot of suffering, and you want to practice the opposite, which is generosity, so that we become very happy. Are we going to give everything? And go to the monastery in Uganda? That would be great, actually. How much we should give? Raise your hand. For me, I don't want to talk on alone. So I want people to raise their hand and say, okay, we should give everything and go to the cave. So how much do we give, actually? Do we have any standards? Do we have even, of course, in other religions, they talk about a tithe. We have a 10% your tithe. But in Buddhism, I don't see it anywhere that we have a standard. What proportion you should actually give. Apart from, we have actually discourse, which is talking about how to distribute your wealth. We have actually, but it's not again 10%. It's talk about give, once you get your wealth, you should actually share with your relatives, your friends, your acquaintances. So you actually enjoy with the family. Then another part, quarter, you save it for contingencies, and then another one you invest. Then another one you actually what you call give to the recluses, people who are practicing what we call religious practices that are ethical. They are actually living a moral life. So also you have to share with them, and also ancestors, do their rituals and to remember them, to share merit, in other words. So the Buddha gave some guidelines, but the question still is, how much should you give to overcome stinginess? Who has an answer to this? How much? Everything? Half of it? Nothing? What? Yeah, please. You are more than me. I'm only one. You are many. That means you have more answers to this. You have some idea? Huh? Who has some ideas? Because the idea we want to overcome is stinginess. We have seen how stinginess brings suffering. We want to do the opposite. What's the opposite? Being generous, being contented actually also. Being contented, there are 3 kinds of contentment. Who remember this? There are 3 kinds of contentment. To be contented. Who remember those who have attended my classes? Huh? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And ha ha ha. That's good. That's much better. That's much better. No, we said you have to be contented. You go the 2 with what is suitable, with your life, with your health, to be contented with what is available, because there are certain things which are not available. Don't stretch your neck. Don't break your neck because you cannot see an ice cream. Go for something alternative, Then the 3rd kind of contentment is actually to be contented with what is within your means. Within your means. Because most of the time people live outside their means. You remember when we attended the class, I gave you an example. You remember when I rolled the paper last time? I said, like some people, this paper is no good actually. Because there are new people here, they missed my class. So okay, let's try. Okay, there are people, this is their income, and this is their expenditure. That's bad news. That's bad news. This is their income and this is what they're spending. So then they are going to suffer also. On one side, we don't want to be misers, and on one side, we don't want to be stingy. Actually, the good word to use is being frugal. Frugal is actually an efficient and effective way of using one's resources wisely. That's not the same as being stingy. On one side also, we don't want to be extravagant. These are people who are extravagant. This is what they earn, and this is what they spend. So we want to either use Buddha's teaching in one discourse in Anguttara Nikaya, where the Buddha is talking about balanced livelihood, where our expenditures and our income are balanced. All right? Are balanced. That means we'll have some for us, and also we have some to give for organizations, for our family. Things that are worth of cause, we can actually do that. Right? So you can see the Buddha's guideline. And in many ways, some of the cultures where I've lived, like India, I spent 5 years in India actually. I was so impressed about how Indian people live. I spent 5 years in India. This is what I observed. The Indians would earn this much, and they would spend this much. It was amazing. And that was a total contrast with people from Nigeria. There's a country called Nigeria. It's an African country. The brothers and sisters from there, they are big spenders. So most of the time, they actually always doing this. This is what they earn, and they spend so much on this. So I learned big lessons in India, actually. So this is very, very important. So let's actually track down these things from some of the teaching Buddhist script, Buddhist literature. We want to define this so that you know these two things from actually the Buddhist literature. One is called Buddhist psychology. So I'm going to read here straight away. One mental state which is called Macharya. They're talking about the characteristics of stinginess is concealing one's success when it has been or can be obtained. And its function is not to bear sharing goods and services, of course, and resources with others. Its manifestation is shrinking away from sharing. You don't want to share. Then the proximity cause, of course, is one's success. So for me, actually, what I found out over the years, people don't even want to share space. People don't want to share space. For me, having grown up in Africa and spent almost 15 years in Asia, around maybe, definitely over 14 in Asia. I've lived in Asia for 14 years. And go to the West and spend almost 15 years in the United States. I've seen actually how people value space. There are people who are attached to their space. They want this much space around themselves. They cannot share. When in our monastery in California, when there's a retreat, because they are Vietnamese people, it's amazing how many people go in the room. You can find around 10 people sharing the room. 10 Vietnamese people in a retreat. When a monk from Burma comes, they say, okay, please, we are going to share space. And they do the retreat for 10 days, 20 days, successfully, no problem. And sleeping on the floor, on the ground. When I go to West Virginia, and then we have Westerners coming, then it's time to share space. No, he's snoring. Oh, I can't sleep. Oh, no. There's a lot of fear, really, somebody to share the space. So there's a lot of attachment and stinginess to space. Is it not amazing? Actually, after interacting with people who go to the prison, sometime I teach in the prison in the United States, they told me that in the prison, space is very, very important. People are attached to their space. They are stingy towards their space. But why are we attached to the space around us? Are we not also injecting a sense of self in the space around us so that actually space becomes part of self? And when somebody invades it, is invading a self, our ego? So this is very interesting. Okay, so we also let us take a look at aversion. Aversion, its characteristics is velocity. Function is to spread or to burn up its support. That means body and mind in which it arises. Manifestation is it manifests as persecuting, and the proximity cause is a ground for annoyance. So this is something that books on Buddhist psychology give, and I think it's very good to pay attention how they navigate around a definition in terms of its characteristics, in terms of its function, manifestation, and the proximity cause. Most of the post-canonical books like Buddhaghosa and others like Abhidhamma, they always define things in terms of those four things: characteristics, function, manifestation, and proximity cause. So now, we have seen the problem of stinginess. What's the problem of aversion? By the way, in case you don't have aversion, raise your hand. Because I don't want to waste your time. In case you don't have aversion in your life, raise your hand. And also, I didn't see people raising your hand. Oh, you? Okay, also raise your hand if you are planning to have aversion. What's the problem with it? Who can tell me some mind states which are related to aversion? Raise your hand. Aversion. Hatred, anger, fear, then what? Envy also? Is it envy also? Tell me more states, because annoyances, resentment, rage, grudge, all those things are there. We found out it's also have different cousins. Sometimes we can distinguish it in terms of period, time. If it's like past, then it's more of worry of the past. If it's the future, then it's anxiety. Sometimes we can also distinguish anger in terms of its degree. If it's a little dose of anger, that's maybe irritation. What about road rage? Do you have road rage here? In Singapore? No, I don't think so. You see, when I'm around Singapore here, I see people driving no problem. Maybe I haven't really gone around Singapore enough, I haven't gone around maybe Singapore. Everybody is serious and driving. Nobody is stopping to roll a window and say, you. Where is that happening? Maybe you kept me here in a bubble here. I see all the nice Singapore la, So rage is a higher degree. Then we have grudge. Probably grudge is a really, really high degree of aversion. So then the question is, why do we have anger? I've already given you some clues last time. Why do we have anger and aversion? Why? Paying unwise attention to the theme of irritation. Whenever there's irritation, then we are unmindful, then we get angry. So now, another question, does really anger bring suffering? Are you sure? Why people then get angry if they know that they're suffering? And what's very interesting for me, when people touch something hot like this, what do? They drop it like this. Why don't they wait until they go to National University of Singapore and they take a course in psychology of the mind, and then only then they let go? Why people get into situation in their life and get anger, yet they know it brings suffering? Buddha gave some similes about this scenario, that how we get angry. If we get angry like this, we are the first one to suffer, because we have seen the function of anger is to burn its support, which is mind and body. It burns. We don't know that, but it burns our mind and body. We know for ourselves when we get angry. We can't even sleep. We can't even read a book. Try to read a book, and when you have anger and all these things, you're going to read one line 10 times, 100 times. You cannot even gain concentration. You cannot eat very well. So now here's the question. Why do people actually still hold on to anger? Do they get some kick out of it, some energy, some kind of rewards? Maybe sometimes actually it feels strong, You know when a young kid gets angry, you see they really very strong. So share with me what's your experience. Does it have any benefit? In other words, what's the cost-benefit analysis? Well, let us do cost-benefit analysis of having anger. One by one, I start with you. Okay, please. What's the cost-benefit? Because since time immemorial, people are getting angry all the time. That means there may be something to get from. We start one by one. Where should we start? We start from there, Sister Amy. This is my last talk. Let us enjoy. Come on. This is my last talk. We are not going to have people are sleeping and... Okay, why cost benefit? No benefit, zero. Okay, zero. Okay, I understood. Zero benefit, please.
Well, when you get angry, then you are trying to show that person your actual feelings. You want them to know, stay away. I'm telling you how angry I am.
In other words, you teach them a lesson. That's a cost benefit, to teach lessons.
You don't hit, but you just let them feel that where you
Yeah. Don't push me beyond that. Okay, tippling. Okay, brother. I mean, we're trying to share if there's any cost benefit, and then we can say, yes, that's why up to now people are getting angry. They might be benefiting something. Please.
It's the opposite of metta.
Yes.
So metta has all the benefits. So
Yeah.
myself switch channels.
So, okay, that's very good. Zero benefit. Zero, okay. No? Okay, we go like this now. What's the benefit of anger? Why people are getting angry all the time? After all, there's no benefit. Most people, when there's no benefit on doing something, they don't do it. Whether the businessman, whether whatever. Once the people have seen no benefit, people don't want to do it. There must be something, maybe. That's why I'm curious to know before I leave, because today, you know that I'm leaving today. I'm also curious. I'm going today to Uganda. So please, go continue. You, what's your answer? No? No benefit? Eh?
If I show anger to somebody who is maybe weaker than me, then I have more power.
You have bullies, so now you say that, yes. Okay, good. Okay, you? What? Can't help it. In other words, you are kind of cannot help, you just blow. I can't help it. But you can, maybe according to Buddha's teaching, you can do something about it.
After you get angry, then you realize that you got upset, then you try to restrain sometimes.
To release suppressed emotional charges.
So, release. And once you get angry and you release it, what do you feel? Much better? Once you release, you feel, do you feel real ease or real peace, or do you feel in pieces? What do you feel? Pieces. So is it worth the investment? Okay, that's good. Thank you very much for your time. Actually, everybody, sometime when you're angry, and then there is that kind of release. But guess what? It comes back again. That's the problem. After the release, then it's like when you have fire. I don't know if this example works very well. When you have fire, a big fire, and then you put wood, and then as it's going down and drop another piece of wood, what does it feel? It kind of subsides a little bit, as if it's going to stop, only to catch the new wood and continue. Yes, when we express anger, it's like that exactly. It's as if actually things you're okay, only then again to find out regret, fear, and all these things. Yeah, so in other words, I like your answer too, but still, I think there's a much better way of dealing with it. Okay, my friends, I'm so happy to see you, by the way. Yeah.
I think that if you use it purposefully to give it's a form of feedback. And as long as you're able to control it afterwards, to not let it continue festering in your mind. But just in that moment, it gives a sort of feedback to the person that this is not acceptable.
Right.
But then beyond that, like you say, right, the challenge is to prevent it from arising again. But I feel like momentarily it can be a feedback system.
So it's a feedback kind of, biofeedback, to really, okay, I got that. That's great. Yes, yeah, you raise your hand.
I think it's a kind of a very primitive survival instinct of human beings. And we are trying to express something or to let out pressure. And without knowing that there's a purpose of anger, of emotions.
And I have that example. You know when you're watering your plants? When you're watering plants, and then you open your tap like this, and then you using this kind of tube, and then you try to put on your plants. Because of much pressure, it uproots of all your plants. Because and also yourself, if you want to wash your feet and it's fraying, and you don't want your robes to get wet, maybe your shirt or... When you use that kind of thing, which is fraying like this, you get also wet. Then that's a problem when it's too much and it's out of control, right? Then it doesn't serve any purpose. Right? And that's most of the time the case. Let's get one more person. Who's in deep samadhi? Now the answer is coming from deep samadhi. You seem to be very deep samadhi. You seem to be very well concentrated. Yes, you. Is there any benefit? Yes. To instill fear, that's a cost benefit. Okay, now let's go to the next question. With all that cost, okay, there's a little bit of advantage, even as my friend you said like this, and all this feedback. The repercussions, the price we pay, is it worth it? In other words, what's the trade-off? Is it really worth it, whether you're teaching lessons or what? And also another follow-up question, is there another way of doing it? While also we are showing lessons, but actually, is there another alternative? What alternative do we have? But still we can teach people lessons, but with other alternatives. Is there a way? Because here's the thing the Buddha said like this. He said that when you're angry, it's like throwing filth to another person. When you throw filth to another person, who gets burned first? I mean, who gets dirty first? The other person or you? Yourself. And then there's another one about throwing a hot stick, which is hot. Let's say I'm angry with you, but actually I'm not. So now if I'm to just get this thing, it's very hot, and throw it to you, it might take a few seconds to reach you, but the moment I handle it, who get burned first, you or me? So it's me. So now the question is, since this is a problem now already, how can we actually deal with these habits so that it's not going to burn us, but still we can give the message? One. Huh? Express it? Uh-huh. Any person has the answer? Huh? Rationalization? Right. Rationalization. Rationalization, those are defense mechanisms, and there's also denial of anger. There's a defense mechanism, many defense mechanisms, expressing it, repressing it, all those kind of games. But anyway, I think for me, given how much the amount of suffering that we go through, we could still do the opposite of and express loving kindness. And we can even, when we practice loving kindness, it's not only thought, may you be well up and peaceful, may you be well up and peaceful. Hey, I'm not peaceful. No, actually this loving kindness is actually cultivating it through our thoughts, but also we communicate. We communicate. Communication, communication, and communication. But with kindness, with loving kindness, we can actually go to the same person. Instead of throwing all our anger and later on regret and pay the price and the heavy price, we can still actually buy time, and then we can actually find a good time, buy time, and then when we are calmer, we can actually go and say, when I heard you saying like this, I felt discouraged, I felt disrespected, I felt disappointed because of ABC. So still we can actually give the message. We can still give the feedback other than acting on autopilot. Autopilot. When I was young, before I became a monk. I have to say that because in case it's not obvious. There are about 3 events that I remember very well that I never want to be angry again. One was very far when I was younger. I had a cousin and then they disappointed me. And then I just went and threw the left shoe in the toilet. I regretted a lot because this was one of her best pair of shoes. I just didn't throw all of them. Just one. I felt terrible up to now. Can you imagine? You know? I mean, if I threw maybe 2, that would be fine, but only one. So every time she would look at one and she's missing the other one. And it was useless. So now, imagine, I don't remember so much good things I did. I did so many good things, of course, when I was young. But up to now, I remember that event, how I felt very bad. I didn't know Buddhism. I didn't know how to deal with anger. And as soon as she made me angry, I just got her best shoe, all the one, threw in the toilet. Done. She wasn't very happy. But I said before I became a monk. Please mark that one. And I wasn't. And also before I became a Buddhist. Now, when I became a Buddhist, I found out these methods. I'm going to stand up and write them. By the way, take 5 minutes to stand up. I don't want to teach unhappy people. Please stand up. Stand up and straight. Okay, we're going to do standing meditation, and also you can actually go to after 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, you're going to have a chance to go for a bio break. Like if you want to take some water. So after all, we want to do the opposite. The opposite to aversion is loving kindness. So through actions and also through body and speech. Okay, stand apart like this, your legs apart. Take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. Letting go of the past and future. Just be aware of the whole body stand, the entire body. See if you can relax the knees and remove all the padlocks in your knees. And then be aware of the feet touching the ground. The feet, your feet touching the ground. Do you feel pressure? Do you feel tightness, warmness? Can you be aware of the rising and passing away aspect of that experience? Okay, this is called M&M. I told you it's sweet, huh? So now you can go for bio break and come back after 4 minutes.